For more now on the news from both Mexico as well as Brazil, we're joined now by White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby. Mr. Kirby, we thank you so much for joining us. President Biden and the leaders of Canada and Mexico condemned the attacks on Brazil's democratic institutions over the weekend. What's the White House looking to see happen in Brazil to help ensure a peaceful transfer of power there?
Well, obviously, we fully support Brazil's democratic institutions. You heard the president speak very clearly about that yesterday. Now, look, President Lula has called for an investigation. We want to make sure that that can play out so that the Brazilian authorities can get to the bottom of what happened here. But it was clearly dangerous. And there's no place, as the president said, outrageous for that kind of political violence to occur in any democracy.
Brazil's former leader Bolsonaro is now in Florida, where he's been admitted to a U.S. hospital. Is the administration at all considering asking him to leave the country or canceling his current visa, or with U.S. support extraditing him back to Brazil if requested?
Well, I'm not legally able to talk about an individual visa case one way or the other, and we can't verify independently his particular whereabouts. But in general, when somebody's traveling on a visa of like what we would call an A visa or a diplomatic visa, they have some obligations of their own with respect to their activities. And again, as for extradition, we're not aware of any indication or any request for extradition by Brazil. So again, I wouldn't get ahead of where we are right now. If there were to be such a request, we would obviously treat it as seriously as we would do any extradition request.
Sure, understood. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has called those who invaded Brazil's institutions, quote, Brazilian freedom fighters, and continued spreading conspiracy theories that Lula, quote, stole the elections, similar to the message from Trump loyalists ahead of January 6th, of course. What's the White House's message to any Americans who might be linked to the violence in Brazil? Should they be investigated?
Well, we're going to see where the Brazilian investigation goes here. And again, I don't want to get ahead of where they are, but they have every right, in fact, every responsibility to their own citizens to fully investigate this and find out who is responsible and what those responsible actually did to bring this political violence about. Now, should they need or request any support from the United States with respect to their investigation, we would obviously do that. But I don't want to get ahead of exactly where we are right now.
As far as the summit in Mexico, what concrete commitments is the president looking for to help stem the tide of drug trafficking, especially when it comes to deadly fentanyl coming across the southern border? Is the Mexican government capable of addressing this with real cooperation with the U.S.?
Well, I already note that there has been a good cooperation between Mexico and the United States with respect to drug trafficking. I mean, just since August of last year, we've been able to seize more than 20,000 pounds of fentanyl at the border. We've got to keep the pressure on these drug traffickers, particularly when it comes to opioids and with fentanyl. We're going to continue to have those discussions with Mexican authorities here tonight in Mexico when the president meets bilaterally with the president, but also tomorrow in the context of the trilateral discussions with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada. I mean, this is an issue that affects us all, and there's certainly more that can be done, but you can bet that fentanyl specifically and getting at this challenge will be key on the agenda tomorrow, and they will be looking at ways to improve information sharing, improving law enforcement cooperation, and really trying to crack down even further on this deadly smuggling.
As you know, some have been highly critical of President Biden's visit there, including Governor Abbott of Texas. What would you say that Biden has learned from his visit to the border yesterday that will inform policy on addressing the flow of migrants going forward?
He certainly comes into this meeting in Mexico City informed by his discussions yesterday. And the focus yesterday in El Paso was really on sitting down with the Border Patrol agents, as well as local and state officials, including faith leaders, non-governmental organizations, all of those who are involved in dealing with the migrants, whether it's from a security perspective, a health perspective, or certainly a legal perspective. He clearly recognizes that they need more resources, and he's going to be saying it here in Mexico, but certainly when he gets back to Washington, that he's going to devote even more energy and effort to devoting those resources, getting those resources for those individuals at the border. I would note, it's not as if he hasn't paid attention to this. I mean, on day one, he put forward an immigration reform bill, which included, among many initiatives, additional border security resources that the Congress has not taken up.
White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby joining us from Mexico. Thank you so much for your time and insight.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.